What's up? I'm at GufFromHouse.com. This is Jason Henderson from Burton Snowboards, and we're going to show you how to set up your Burton Step On bindings in less than 15 minutes. Let's go! What's up, Jason? How you doing?
Good.
Yeah, Jason's here. We're walking through the brand new 2020 Burton Step On collection because they're doing a huge launch on November 4th. There's 4 men's boots, 3 women's boots, 1 kid's boot, and they're gonna sell out really fast. And we wanna show you what it takes to set up your step-on bindings. Now, here's the cool thing about this. We're gonna try and do it in less than 15, so gotta keep an eye on it. The second thing, this is actually gonna be one of my setups for this year. Now, I'm gonna move these boots and these bindings around from board to board throughout the season, but I'm gonna ride this thing. This is the Ripcord. Now, this is kind of like a interesting board for me to ride, and I'm gonna do a series throughout the year called Ripping the Ripcord. This board is gonna be featured a lot in our video and throughout our channel, and or through our videos and our channel, and you're gonna see a lot of this. And I wanna do a mounting board, mounting on this board.
Yep.
So hopefully on Monday, we'll be able to get on snow and start ripping these things. The board or the binding that I'm gonna ride, or the boot I'm gonna ride, is actually called the Ion, and those are the step-on boots. Okay,
Yep.
What should people know, Jason, about setting up their step-on bindings?
Well, number one thing, don't worry about the straps.
Don't worry about that. You don't need straps.
Nope. It's already took that part of the equation on, which is usually what takes the longest.
That's right. That's true.
So just a couple of little adjustments you have to know, and that's about it. It's a lot more simple than actually a strap system.
Yeah.
So.
And actually, shout out to Burton for having these incredible boot and binding bags. Terrapin lining, have a nice little padding to them, and this actually converts to a backpack. And this box or bag straps onto this one.
Yep. And it's actually kind of insulated, so it can be like a cooler or whatever. So.
Put my lunch in there.
Yeah.
That's actually what I'm gonna do from now on.
Yeah, there you go. So, obviously we want to remove the bindings. We got hardware. So the hardware it comes with, you have silver hardware. That is if you want to be mounting the step-ons to any sort of inserted board.
Okay, so that's 4x4 and 2x4 patterns?
Yep.
Okay.
So that you would use that, that's what the silver stuff is for. And then black stuff is for channel.
All right.
So it is a little bit shorter, you'll kind of see that. But
okay.
Since we're using a channel board here, that's what we're gonna pop out. So only 4. The boards come with the channel inserts, the hardware. So just need that. And then we use the channel disc.
Okay, is there other discs in there?
Yep, so there also is for the 4x4.
4D, 4x4, so that's for 2x4 and 4x4 mounting channel patterns, or patterns for all current run and modern boards.
Yep.
Right. Now if someone has a Burton board with the old school 3D pattern, can they still mount their step-ons on that board?
Yes, you just have to acquire the 3D reflex disc.
And how does an individual do that?
Well, Burton will send them to you. He's called a rider service line.
Okay.
And they'll send them out to you free of charge.
Cool.
So a lot of it is because the reason why we don't include it, it just, there's just so much of this stuff just gets thrown away. And sustainability is a big thing. We don't want truckloads of this stuff sitting in landfills.
Right.
So we figured that the few instances where somebody needs it, we'll just send them to them.
Good idea.
So. Cool.
All right, so the first things that most people, well, I would hope, would try to define is basically 2 things. Before we kind of get into the adjustments of the binding is, first, the width of the stance and the angles of the stance. Now, I tend to ride, even though I'm tall, I tend to ride about like a 21.5, 22-inch wide stance. I have the greatest range of motion and balance in that stance width. How wide do you ride?
Well, that's just the thing is and that's kind of the benefit of the channels. Everybody's different.
Yes.
Like I ride a wider stance than you. I ride a 23-inch stance, and
crazy.
I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
So, and depending on the board too. So certain boards just like a little narrower stance. Some, you can change it, a half inch, a quarter inch, and it, it changes things big time. So that's kind of the benefit of the channels. You can ride that once you find out that perfect stance for you, you can ride it wherever you want on the board. So let's say, the Ripcord, it's set back an inch, you could center it out, and be kind of twin-like, but
Right.
or let's say you're taking a trip out west, and all of a sudden you get 2 feet of fresh, slam that same stance all the way back, and now the thing slays pow.
That is such a great thing, because once you have a preferred riding stance of angle and width, you can slide that up and down without any roadblocks.
Yep, and it also, it changes the way the board rides. So even like shifting your stance back even a 1/4 of an inch. Now you've made this distance, the tail shorter, so that means it's stiffer. Now the distance from the binding to the nose got longer, so now it's softer. So now it's a more directional feel.
Right.
So it's definitely the best way to mount binding to a board.
So this is, like Jayson said, this is a directional style board. The stance is set back 1 full inch. I tend to ride boards twinned out, and I think, well, if they're twin boards, usually I'll ride a directional board as it's set up within its reference stance.
Yeah, that's always the best place to start.
Yeah.
You start in the reference and then move out from there.
Yeah, start in the
equally.
reference. Yes.
Equally. So, so you don't want to get yourself ahead of the side cut radius and contact points too much either. So, so it'd just be like, move it out evenly from the reference is what we usually recommend.
So you're saying don't have it 3 inches ahead of the reference on your front foot and 1 inch back on
because then you'll
foot.
be ahead of the side cut.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. Well, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna stick with reference here.
Yep.
So now what? So I
you
know,
can move it.
And I can move it. So the reference location on Burton boards is located, or the number and distance is located right in the middle. And the suggested, or the reference stance on this Burton Ripcord is 22 inches, my preferred width. So we'll just kind of keep it within the reference stance. How about that?
Okay.
Cool.
Well, you said 21.5. We can do that too.
Yeah, we can do that too. Can you pass me a hammer slide? What were they called?
Channel hammer?
Yeah, pass me all those channel hammers. Hey, thanks.
Or a screwdriver.
Yeah, or a screwdriver. You don't need a channel hammer.
So all you do is you pop the channel plug out. The hardware 2 per side goes in.
And which one? Where did you pull these out of? Were these in the binding?
No, that comes with the board.
These ones come with the board.
They'll come in this compostable cardboard kind of sleeve that's attached to the board. So then put those back in. So then what we do is, what I usually like to do is take the screwdriver. I'll kind of pry up, gets from underneath, and I'll pry up the footbed.
Got it. So the footbed kind of locks into 4 different positions, one of 4 different positions. So.
Yep. And one thing about that too is that we actually do have the sizes, because having the toe ramps adjusted correctly is very key with Step On. If you're too far out, then it steps in really easy, but it's really, there's a lot of play in there. You want to have some tension, on that. So we do have those sizes kind of listed there. So this is an 11, so that is the first size, in a large. So it has to be a large.
Got it. So yeah, there's 4 different location settings for the placement of the footbed, from size 11 to 11.5, 12, and then 13. And now this is a size large binding, so that means size 11 to size 13. Is that correct?
Yep.
Good. Now size medium is what, size 8 to 10 and a half?
10.5, yeah.
Okay, cool. So
and it has to, there's no float. It has to be a 10.5 is a medium. 11 has to be a large.
Don't try to play around.
Yeah, because because sometimes you could fudge it. You could jam a size 11 into a medium binding and stretch the straps out. And you might get it to work. That just does not work with Step On, just because of where the engagement points are placed.
Got it.
It just won't work.
Right. So one thing to note is it's kind of tricky to get these things out of their locked in position. So use a screwdriver, a flathead if you can. But it's gonna take a little energy to pull them out. So don't think that they're stuck. Just give them a little.
Just give them a little yank. So, so then you notice that there's 3 basically increments, 4 and a half there. Usually just put them in the middle.
Yeah.
Start in the middle. So, and then I ask you, what angles would you like to ride, sir?
Right. So I think as we're in the beginning of the season, I think I would like my back foot to be. I'm gonna go a little duck.
Okay.
I'm just gonna a little bit.
You're usually like Euro guy. Yeah.
I'm usually a Euro guy, especially when I ride
like big
directional stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go -3.
Okay, so 1 notch. So everything goes in like every notch is 3 degrees.
Yep, it's in increments of 3 degrees, and they're noted. The degrees are noted on the disc. It says 0, 9, 18, 27, 36. I would never really suggest someone to go beyond 21, but it's all come down to personal preference. If you want to ride a 36 angle front foot, dude, have at it, have fun.
You can always change it back.
Right. So I'll go 3 degrees on that, and then I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna keep it kind of chill. I'm gonna go 12. I'm gonna go 12 front.
Okay.
I mean, that's really mellow. Now, most people when they first get into riding, it kind of fluctuates probably between like 6 and 15, both feet. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, that's kind of just a good place to start. Yeah, I mean, if you're just mounting your board for the first time, if you're a beginner and you're not quite sure, usually what I recommend is just something to get you in the ballpark. You know, you can start at reference stance. It's probably, if it's the proper size board for you, that's gonna be, the best place to start. If you really wanna, everybody's built a little different too. Usually what I would do is measure from the floor, take your shoes off. You don't wanna be wearing platform kiss boots because it's Halloween. Measure from the floor to the top of your knee.
Yeah.
And that usually gives you a really good good starting point for your width.
Cool. Okay.
So that's just what I found works. It's a really good place to start.
Correct.
Yeah, then usually, and if you're mounting a twin board and you're not sure if you're regular foot or goofy foot, then mount them both at, let's say, 12.
Okay, right.
So,
and we'll probably shoot some more videos on how to set up correct widths and or suggested angles. Okay, so we have 3. We've got, what did I say, 12?
Yep.
We're doing 12. Now what?
So now we just gotta line up the channel hardware.
Okay.
So then it lines up with the center holes in the disc.
Center hole, so out of the 3 holes, the ones that are in the middle.
Yep.
That's usually what center means, everybody out there.
Yep.
If you didn't know that.
There's one on one side, there's one on the other side. Those are not the center. The one in the middle is the center.
Yeah, the one between those two.
So then there's a window there too that will show you where you're at on the board too. So we have the reference stance here.
Right.
So which we had determined that's printed underneath the back foot, which is 22.
Right. And it says ref as in reference.
Yep.
Reference stance.
So if you want to just lock it down there, we can. If Guf did want to go to his normal 21.5, so that would be a 1/2 inch, which means you would go halfway in between the next mark.
Right. Cool.
So if you have to bring it in.
Oh yeah, in.
Yeah, if you want to go narrower.
Because I'm slow.
Because each one of the hash marks on the channel is a 1/2 inch measured.
Got it.
So you go a 1/2 inch on both. That means it's an additional inch.
Right. Cool. Well, let's jump up to let's keep a reference.
You want a reference?
Let's go reference. Yeah, I think reference is good. This already looks. I'm really pumped because this looks sick.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, the white and the.
Dude, the white.
So then we just get the screws going.
Okay. Now, how tight should these be?
As tight as you can crank them.
As tight as you can crank them.
Yeah.
Now, do I tighten one to its fullness and then tighten the other to the fullness, or do I kind of go back and forth?
No, you can crank either one as long as it's. Usually, what I like to do is to get it started on both, and then crank them down.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I don't really go full bore on one.
Yeah, and it's just easier to line everything up.
Right. And what's also kind of nice too, you can put the screws in, and when they're loose, and you can still kind of move the bindings back
Get it to where you want. Yeah.
Right. So if I decided last minute that I want to change it, I'll just kind of show you that.
Or you want the number 3?
Yeah, I want that one. Channel hammer.
And and it's always.
Yeah, you can just slide it.
And just as preventative maintenance, it's always a good idea to check the tension of your mounting screws.
Oh
Every so often, snowboards take a lot of vibration. That's just the way it is, So, just check that. So, and like I said, yours is a size 11, so we can slide the toe ramps all the way back, and then just push those down in place.
Bada bing.
And that's it.
That's it. Okay, so the great thing about step-ons is that they don't have straps, and I don't have to worry about adjusting the straps down the center of my boot, right? What other adjustments do step-ons have that I'm gonna have to make before I go ride?
Well,
will I have to do anything else?
Typically you don't.
Typically you don't.
If you want to adjust your forward lean,
okay.
You do have those capabilities.
Okay.
There's 2 screws right in here.
All right.
And that's where you get a smaller screwdriver, like a number 2. So, which this particular one doesn't fit in there, but you get a normal like number 2, and the more you crank those down, it actually forces the forward lean forward.
Got it. So and it's kind of nice.
But they are set, they're set in F1 right out the bottom.
Oh, they are. Okay,
Yeah.
I tend to like a forward lean instead of like straight up. But one cool thing about this system is similar to like the living hinge and a strap style body from Burton, but they have little pins that kind of act like, not suspension, but they kind of act as rods that this section kind of like angles up on.
Yep. So you screw that. It's basically a screw that goes down into the high back, pushing against like the buckle area. That's what creates that forward lean.
Yeah.
So, and it's actually labeled on there. Once you start cranking them down, you'll see F2, F3. So, depending on what you want there.
Right. So F2 means what for someone who doesn't know?
That's just the forward lean position 2.
Got it.
Which is, I can't remember exactly what the degrees is, if it's 18 degrees or, F1 I think might be 12.
Right.
Yeah.
So the F4 setting, if this is the base of the body, and this is your high back, if the F4 setting is the most acute style angle, F3, F2, F1 is almost straight up, and that's kind of, that's that.
So.
All right, so we made the adjustments of my width, my angles, my footbed, and I'm gonna leave the high back adjustments where they are, set at F1. We don't have to worry about, or we don't have to do any screw adjustments. Is there anything else?
Not really.
That's it.
Depending if your local hill requires a leash,
right.
It will come with the leash. That does just obviously go through the front. And through the base plate here. Don't put it through the toe, because that's where it's...
Yeah.
Put it through the toe, Jerry, but then also on the boot there's a loop here that it'll clip to. Once you get in, so if that's required, but...
I want to give a little love to my local mountain, Andes Tower Hills. When I first started snowboarding, and actually my first snowboard that I ever rode was a 1993 Burton Air 5.1 that I rented at Andes Tower Hills, but they always required us to wear leashes. So every time I see a leash, I always think back on my favorite resort in the whole world still, Andes Tower Hills.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Is that it? Is that all I need to do?
That's it.
That's it. Okay.
That is it.
Did we make it? I think we made it within 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a sexy looking setup.
That is a dang good looking setup. I have a pair of the brand new 2020 Burton Ion Step Ons, the white colorway, which I think is really fresh.
Yeah, that's right.
Woo, it's hot. And then the brand new 2020 Burton Ripcord snowboard that you're gonna see a lot of in future videos from the channel, so make sure to check back. Jayson, you are the man.
Well, I'm a man.
You're a man. You're a
You
man.
are the man.
Thanks. Thank you guys so much for watching. You may still have some comments or questions about setting up your step-on bindings. Make sure to leave those comments or questions below or in the side of the comments, depending on if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. And remember to subscribe if you can. Subscribe there, check out more vids there. And hopefully we'll see you guys on snow stepping on. Peace.
Yeah.